5 times Luchadors changed their gimmick soon after performing at Demand Lucha. Number 5. The Dark Order.
When Stupefied and Player One got together to create the Super Smash Brothers, nobody knew of the legacy they were about to create. The Super Smash Brothers have worked for every prominent indie company imaginable, including having huge success at PWG and multiple appearances at Ring of Honor, including a 5-star classic against the Young Bucks at Toronto's War of the Worlds. The SSB have also held gold in almost every company they've been to, and Demand Lucha is no different. Being 2-time Royal Canadian Tag Team Champions, we last saw the SSB losing in a hellacious street fight before disappearing for almost an entire year. But when the Demand Lucha stalwart and newly dubbed Evil Uno did return, he was not alone, flanked by Holidead and future AEW cohort Darby Allin. Team Darkside blew onto the scene at Demand Lucha. After a hellacious battle including a one-on-one showdown with Premier Champion Ophidian, Evil Uno and his Team Darkside thanked the crowd, and before the year ended, appeared on AEW with a new team and a new mandate. Inspired by his initial leadership role of Team Darkside, the Dark Order quickly became regulars at AEW, and Evil Uno himself has become a company figurehead.
Number 4. Aramis.
Blasting onto the indie scene soon after the pandemic, Aramis has been called the future of Lucha Libre. An absolute fascinating wrestler, undeniably an athletic dynamo. He moves slickly with a comfortable quickness that is impressive to watch. And the Demand Lucha fans were impressed when Aramis came to Demand Lucha and took on the Impact Heavyweight Champion, Alex Shelley. Leaving the crowd stunned, Aramis almost came out with the victory and blatantly challenged Shelley for the championship at a future encounter. But the future was to change for Aramis very quickly. Within months of his performance at Demand Lucha, he appeared on AEW television as the newly dubbed Hologram. Currently boasting an undefeated record of 14-0 at AEW, Aramis is no more and Hologram is the future. An interesting note is his final performance as the character Aramis was against current Royal Tag Team Champion Ares, debuting as Hologram soon after against the other half of our tag champions, Gringo Loco, on AEW Collision.
Number 3. Edna Pinart.
One of the final students of the Chikara Wrestle Factory, Edna Pinart came onto the scene with a gait and movements that were hard to take the eye off of. Graduating and wrestling on the scene for just under a year, Edna Pinart had her final performance as the character at Demand Lucha's Lucha Vacation in 2019. Within 3 months, the pandemic had rocked the world, but when the smoke cleared, Edna Pinart was no more, and Vita Von Star debuted for Ring of Honor Wrestling alongside Vincent and Dutch of the Righteous. Since then, Von Star has gone on to work for Rogue Women's Wrestling, Star Pro Women's Wrestling, and many other promotions. Edna Pinart is no more, having made her final appearance on the indie wrestling scene for Demand Lucha.
Number 2. Desan Pratt.
The Osirian Portal was one of the most unique, innovative, and beloved teams on the indie wrestling scene. Former Chikara Campeones de Pareja and trainers at the Wrestle Factory, both Omasis and Ophidian were respected by all. But alongside Lince Dorado, Omasis was one of the first faces, or masks, to wave the Demand Lucha banner. Working alongside Rich Swann, Swerve Strickland, legends like Blue Demon Jr., and up-and-comers like Santana and Ortiz, who themselves would only wrestle 1 or 2 more matches as EYFBO before moving on to Impact Wrestling to become the new LAX. But after a long and respected career as a Omasis, the mask was finally removed after winning the Deadly 7 Scramble and raising the Demand Lucha Premier Championship above his head. Omasis decided that this was the catalyst. Shedding the cocoon of Omasis emerged Desan Pratt. After finally getting the singles glory he had sought for so long, no longer was he going to wear the veil of the Osirian Portal. Desan Pratt was a proud Premier Champion, defending against the likes of Sami Callihan, Jeff Cobb, Arrow Boy, Josh Alexander, and more. And to this day wrestles under his real name of Desan Pratt as a trainer at the CCW Academy and one half of their current tag team champions.
Honorable mention. Fresh Air.
Although not becoming new characters once leaving Demand Lucha, the hot stepper McCray Martin and Junior Benito had been gaining steam both as singles competitors and as a tag team on the Ontario wrestling scene. They came to Demand Lucha to take on the champions Los Medicos. Demand Lucha management thought that the Medicos' long entrance and intimidating look might be the one thing that put the youngsters off their game. Arriving at a very merry Lucha Christmas show, they were presented with matching tracksuits and chains. Demand Lucha management wanted them to go out and make a spectacle of themselves and distract the Medicos with their new outlandish personas. Although unable to come out with the victory, the true version of Fresh Air was born that day, and they have continued to wear the tracksuits everywhere they go and bring the party with them.
Number 1. PCO.
After disappearing from the wrestling scene, longtime veteran Pierre Carl Ouellet re-emerged at Great North Wrestling, to the surprise of many. This was not the Quebecer Pierre that we had known in the past. This man was insane. Cannonballs, moonsaults, flips of all sorts. Pierre had gone crazy, becoming a 300-pound luchador and infinitely more dangerous. Seeing the ring work of the re-emerging legend, Demand Lucha immediately booked Pierre for their next show. But only a week before that, Joey Janela's Spring Break 2 took place, where PCO went head-to-head against Walter in a chop fest that made both men the talk of the weekend. Still black and blue, PCO showed up at Demand Lucha's Glamour and Menace, and with a catalog of Instagram videos and online footage showcasing the insane PCO electrocuting himself and going through all kinds of torturous workout regimes alongside his master and trainer Di Destro, inspired Demand Lucha commentator Hutch HENRIES to make this fateful call.
PCO didn't have the balls to show up here tonight.
Oh, give me a break. 3/4 by Destro, the Francophone Frankenstein. PCO is a straight-up monster.
Whoa!
Francophone being a name to refer to French-speaking Canadians, PCO was amused by the call and even inspired. One t-shirt design later, Pierre Carl Ouellet re-emerged as Perfect Creation 1, a Frankenstein-style competitor who seemingly showed no pain or no care for his own body. PCO went on to capture the ultimate prize, becoming the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion before signing the most lucrative wrestling contract of his career, becoming a member of the Impact Wrestling roster. PCO will openly cite the call at Demand Lucha for inspiring his most successful persona to date.